We're just getting some updates right now from Alex Miller, who is in our courtroom. I'm just going to read them off as I get them here. Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty. Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Waiting on count 15 coming in. Count 15, guilty. Alex writes that former President Trump totally stone-faced. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21, guilty. Count 22, guilty. Count 23, guilty. 24, guilty. 25, guilty. 26, guilty. 27, guilty. 28, guilty. 29, guilty. 30, guilty. 31, guilty. 32, guilty. 33, guilty. And count 34, guilty. Former President Donald Trump found guilty by this jury on all 34 counts. Found guilty, according to national political correspondent Alex Miller inside the courtroom, saying the former president briefly looked at the jury, but he is, as she describes, stone-faced. You can take a look here, some live pictures outside coming in as now that we have this historic verdict in. And a combination of what we're hearing is cheers outside the courtroom, but also these images on screen right now showing some of the frustration from supporters of the former president. And of course, we'll be trying to make sure that, the language is... right. Tensions, as you can see, certainly flaring up as this come in. Let's go back to Deputy Political Director Joe St. George. Joe, 34 counts. Former President Trump guilty.
Former President Trump is a convicted felon, and it is a powerful moment. It is a historic moment. Never before in the history of this republic has an American president, a former president, been convicted of a crime. That has all changed just after 5 o'clock Eastern time in Lower Manhattan. It is history, and it's unfolded before us in the last few moments. I think the impact of this verdict from a political standpoint, though, is very much to be determined. You have many Republicans who believe that these charges should never have been brought. They have believed every word of former President Trump over the last several years, that this has been a witch hunt. I'm hearing the cheers that perhaps you've been picking up on as we're continuing these live pictures here in New York. There are people celebrating this. There are critics of the former president who are saying right now, finally, Mr. Trump is labeled a convicted felon. How it plays out among independent voters, well, there's a second jury, as we've been noting over the course of the last several days, the jury of the American people. They'll render their verdict on Mr. Trump on Election Day in November.